Okay guys, welcome to the play menu and the blue menu, the play menu. And this one has 5 different subcategories that we're gonna go over. We won't go over everything. Some of them don't even apply really to most of us. It doesn't really matter. And I will go over some of the fun things you can do as well that you may not know that it's possible to do with this camera. But let's get to it because there's a lot to talk about. Protect images. If you're shooting kind of like an event like a wedding or a bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah or anything like this, which is very important, or you have very important photos in a file that you don't want to accidentally delete, you can go ahead and go to protect images, and you can either select a range of images to protect so they cannot be accidentally erased, especially if you give the camera to somebody else. And you can select a range, so you can just do from photo 72 to photo 345, protect all of those. You can do all the images in the folder. You can do all the photos in the memory card. It's just smart if you want to not have an accident, especially if you're giving the camera to multiple people and they're trying to erase photos, which I've seen some of my second shooters do. Even though I tell them never erase an image out of the memory card when you're shooting, because I don't want to have any kind of corruption in the memory card or any kind of problem. And I just don't mind if the photos are there and they're not good. I'll just skip it when I go over the images. So, but if I want to make sure I can set that all the photos can be protected. Okay. Erase images is just what it is. Same thing as protect, except it applies for erasing. It is helpful because if you want to go to select range and you want to erase, especially with these cameras, because they shoot 20 frames per second in the electronic shutter. If you have 20 photos per second and you push the shutter for a long time and for like 3 seconds, you have 60 photos. That's a lot. And if you have to erase one by one, that sucks. So if you go to select range, you can actually just select a range of photos and then erase them all in one go, which I think is really cool. Rotate stills, it just rotates the screen so you can see it differently on the screen itself. There's another way to rotate when you take a photo itself that automatically rotates it on the camera. This is just once the photo's already taken. If you want to see it in a different way that it is displayed on the screen itself, that's what that one is. Change movie rotate info is actually a really useful feature. This is for people that are using the Canon EOS R5 or 6 for like Instagram stories. So if you're photographing for Instagram stories, which requires a vertical orientation, you can tell the camera with this change movie rotation info. You can say, I want you to tell the phone when you transfer the video to the phone that this is going to stay vertical, and I want it to be on a vertical format, so it's ready to go for Instagram stories or whatever. You can also say, no, I want this to be played in horizontal. So you can just basically have it ready to go when it's outputted from the camera into any format you want. Okay, so you can choose there what you want. That's a photo. That was basically when I changed this. This is a video that I took, and I love the way that videos look, by the way. And you can actually switch from, this is horizontal, but if I would have taken the video, let's say I would have taken the video vertical. So if you if you put the camera in vertical format and then you start recording like that, it will keep that, it will respect that orientation when you output it. Rating is cool if you're trying to do like a same-day slideshow, or if you just if you have a 5-second break to be able to go over your images, and you know that you like this particular 5 images, you can just rate them. And what's cool about the rating system when you do it in the camera is that when you export the photos to Lightroom or Capture One or Adobe Camera Raw, it will actually have, or Adobe Bridge, it will actually have the rating that you put on already it will travel with the file. So if you let's say you do 500 photos and you rate 25 5 stars, when you import them into Lightroom or Adobe Bridge, it will have those ratings with those photos. So you can just go to that folder, say, give me all my 5-star ratings, and it will just give you those 25 photos. And you don't have to do it there. So that's kind of cool. Image copies is if you want to copy an image from one card to the other. Let's go to the second menu. I'm going to not discuss this too much. Print order and photo book setup. Print orders when you have a printer that has the technology or the capability to understand this coming from a Canon printer. A lot of the Canon printers, like the prosumer ones or consumer ones, have this capability, so you can basically have the photo with a tag, with a date and all this ready to go, and you can just print them. And the photo book setup, that's if you have like the Canon EOS utility, and you can actually say, when you transfer the photos to it, you can say, hey, I want this to become a book, and it gives you the book options in the software. So this requires Canon EOS utility to work. Okay, this is where the thing becomes a lot of fun. There is raw processing, and then there's DP raw processing. Okay, DP raw is raw, and then raw processing is just gonna do the whole raw image, and it's gonna transfer that image into a JPEG or a HEIF. If you wanna process a raw file, you can change the lighting, you can change the white balance, you can change a lot of different things on it, and then you can export it. It's almost like it's basically photoshopping the photo in the camera. Let's say you are photographing a job and people are asking you for the photos right away. You can do a quick edit on the camera. You can make it look pretty amazing, and then output it to somebody's phone, and you can give it to them, and they'll be like, wow, you're amazing. These photos look photoshopped. Yeah, because they are, except you did it in the camera. So let me give you an example of that. This first one here, raw, it just does the entire image, and then digital portrait raw basically concentrates on portraits only, so it has to detect a face. Okay, but I'll give you this one real quick. Select images. So let me switch over to let's see, like that one. That's a cute photo of Lucas running around in Seaport Village in San Diego. So that one is obviously dark, so I can select it. Okay, I'm gonna push the Q to go ahead and start the editing, and I'm gonna set up processing to JPEG, or you can do the setup process to HEIF. Now, what is the difference between JPEG and HEIF? JPEG is a JPEG, you know what that is, and HEIF is basically a JPEG that has a much higher dynamic range. So it can capture quite a bit more highlight detail, so things will not be blown out like the sky, or it can do better in the shadow details as well. So it's a more sophisticated JPEG basically. So let's go ahead and just do JPEG for now, just to show you. So as you can see, the brightness, if I click yes, I want to change the brightness. Look how much brighter that got. Okay, so this is the way it came out of my camera, and this is like darker. So if you want to do it that way, but right now I would switch it to that. Okay, then Kelvin temperature, you can change the Kelvin temperature to whatever you want. So let's click on it and say I want to do it in sunny, and look at that, it changes. Okay, that's shady, that's cloud. Here's Kelvin. If you want to change the exact Kelvin temperature of the file, just push info on the camera, and you will be able to, let me go to Kelvin, push info, and now with the info button pressed, you can actually change the Kelvin temperature exactly. Right now I'm at 5500, and I think it looks nice at 58. I want to go to 58. Okay, great. There it is. That's that one. And then here you can change the picture style, and this will affect the photo because it's going to be made into a JPEG. Now, not for 1 second should you think that if you do this processing from RAW to JPEG that you're going to lose your JPEG. You're not. The RAW file stays intact. It just makes a copy, a JPEG copy. Okay. So let's say you want to see this in black and white. You can just transfer that to monochrome, and you can see what that looks like in black and white. And if you push the info button again, you can say, okay, saturation, let's see, let's go to sharpness, strength, this is finesse, threshold, contrast. Okay, filter effect, let's go to yellow, let's go to orange. Okay, so you can do orange, and then here you can do a toning effect, but I don't do that, so let's just do orange. So that's what it looks like in orange. And yeah, looks pretty good, I like it. All right. I don't want to do that anymore, so I'm going to go back to neutral. Okay, this is clarity. This is going to increase the clarity or the contrast or the sharpness throughout the entire image. So if you want to do that, you can see what that looks like. It's a lot sharper now. And no, it's not sharper. It's clarity. So everything looks there's no haze on it, which kind of looks like more sharpening. That's why I kind of don't use it, but it's cool. Let's maybe do a little bit. So I'll just do 1. Yeah, screw it, I'll do 2. Yeah, 2 is fine. Okay, let's do 2. This is auto lighting optimizer. So this is actually going to create a digital light source on your photograph. Let's say you want to create a nice light on it. So you can click on it and you can choose between off to a little bit, to medium, to high. So you can see that high looks pretty nice. Okay, good. Then you can change the noise reduction. You can change the image quality from large JPEG to medium JPEG to small JPEG. You can do Adobe RGB or sRGB. You can switch the color space. This is where you can do all your lens corrections, which I recommend you do all of them because you don't want things to be distorted, have color fringing, have banding. You don't want any of that stuff. So you can fix it. And then once you're done, you can save it. And if when you save it, it will save it as a new file and it will put it at the very end of your memory card. So if you have 15 photos in your memory card, it will be the 16th photo. Okay. So I'm just going to stop all that. Look at the difference, what the difference that made. So that's that. And let me go to digital portrait raw processing. So portrait relighting. So this one requires, the portrait relighting one requires you to be on, requires to see a face. It has to have a face, otherwise it cannot do a portrait relighting. And it also requires you to have shot the photograph with dual pixel raw. So if you don't have dual pixel raw, it will not even be able to work. So I'm gonna go to portrait relighting and it says only dual pixel raw is being displayed, okay? Because that's what I have. So I'm going to go to this image right there, okay? And here's a photo of Jane. And I'm gonna click on it. And this was shot with dual pixel raw. Okay, so that's good. Let's click on that. And now we enter the ability to make all these changes. So let me show you. This is actually really cool. Portrait relighting. So as you can see, the lighting on this portrait is on this side because that's where the window was. And this side of the face, her right side, is in darkness. So let's say I click on this one right here, which is the portrait relighting option. I'm gonna turn it on. Okay, top. See how the lighting is actually changing? Left, right. I don't know if you can see it, but it's definitely happening. Look at that. I'm gonna rotate. You can change the lighting quite a bit. Look at that. That's pretty even right there. And then this is with most of the light illuminating this side of the face. Okay, I'm gonna go to the other side just to show you the difference. Look at that. So now the lighting looks almost even. Okay, so that's cool. I'm gonna push the loop and see what happens like that. Okay, when you push the loop, you can see that this icon changes. So right now it's a more spotlight lighting effect. And if I push the loop again, it's the most broad lighting effect. Okay, so if you really want to hit the face hard and not the body, you push the loop and go to this light. See, that's illuminating the whole body. Okay, and if you want, you can just do the very narrow, almost like a snoot, and it only illuminates or affects the face. So that's what that is. I'm gonna push the Q again. So the Q is, I don't know if you can see that little item right there, but the Q is how much lighting is applying to your portrait. So right now it's at the maximum. This is, this is the lowest. This is the medium setting, and this is the high setting. Okay. So by messing with your Q and your loop, you can actually get quite a bit of different lighting, okay? If you push, let me push OK. If you want to compare between your original photo and your photoshopped or edited photo, push the info to compare, push the info button. And then with this wheel here, you can switch it. Oops, sorry, with this. So that's before, it even says shot settings. This is with the aperture wheel. So this little logo right there is the aperture wheel. So that's before and that's after, okay? And this little thing shows up that it's on. See that? Before, after. So when you're shooting and you're trying to send the photos out to someone, this could be very useful to people if you have some time to do some edits on the photo. Let's say you're only sending 2 or 3 really strong images to like a wedding coordinator or to a client, and you want, you don't have time to be editing photos or anything like that. You could actually do a lot here, and this looks actually quite pleasing to the eye. So it could be quite nice. Okay, so that's what that is. So let's get out of here. Sorry, I skipped background clarity. Background clarity, again, is just going to look for the background. So it basically finds the subject and then, it masks the subject, and then it goes to the background and it basically makes it sharper. All right. So that's what that is. The resize, well, here, right now, we can change the size of the photograph. And I think one thing that will be, let me push set, I'll show you what that is. So you can do the size between full to small JPEG or a tiny JPEG. And I don't know if you need to send the photos faster, you need to send a bunch, you can do it this way, but I'm just gonna skip that. All right, the next one is the cropping one. And this is actually a very, very fun one because you can do very useful things on this one actually. So I can see myself using this cropping function. I've never seen it before. And I think it's very useful that if you're trying to send out images quickly that look amazing and perfectly done and photoshopped, this is gonna be a great tool for you. Let me show you how that works. If I'm gonna go to cropping, here for example, I'm gonna choose that photo, I'm gonna say set, and it's gonna give you these entire options on what you can do with it, okay? With your aperture wheel in the back of the camera, you can actually switch to the different modes. So you can see here with my aperture wheel, I can change the crop view, straighten the image, change the aspect ratio, crop and save, and exit cropping. So I'm gonna go to the first one, change the crop view, and then you can see that you can see that you can make this smaller, right? You can change the crop of it. And then with the joystick in the back or the multi-controller, you can go up and down and you can just crop it to that little version right there, okay? So I'm gonna go back to normal here. So that's how you do that one. Then with the aperture wheel, you move forward to the next one. And this is actually one of my favorite ones. This is the straightening one. So in the straightening one, you use the multi-controller function again. And if you push the button in, okay, if you push the button in the multi-controller, you get this grid, all right? And then from there, you can actually use the aperture wheel to rotate the image. So I can say, I wanna make the fence perfectly straight to the edge of the photograph. And now you're there and you have it, okay? So that's how you get that done, which I think is really cool. I'm gonna push okay. And then I'm gonna go to the aspect ratio. So here you can change the aspect ratio from, this is set at 3:2. Then you can switch it to 69. You can switch it to 4/3. You can go to 1:1 square for like Instagram, or you could even do vertical 2:3, and then 9:16 if you wanted that aspect ratio, and then back to 3/4 vertical, 3, and then back to 3:2. So you can actually do all of those and then crop it just like that. Okay, then you can crop and save and make all your settings, and then you can save it as a JPEG. Okay. So I think that's pretty amazing. Here, if you have a high photo, you want to convert it to JPEG, you do that here, but right now I don't have any high photographs, that's why it doesn't show up. Moving to the fourth menu on the play, you're gonna have slideshow, display time, 1 second. Oh yeah, so you can change the display time to whatever you want, and you can repeat, and it can enable the repeat process, so it just repeats. So if you're at a reception, slideshow, whatever, and you just wanna show, you can do it that way. It's kind of cool. And start just basically starts the slideshow and it doesn't care. All images, okay? Okay, set image search conditions. Okay, that's if you have something already starred or you have something locked. So you can do search for those, which could be useful in case you want to do probably like just have something where you just have that those specific photos already selected. Magnification. This is one of those important ones. In the magnification, I actually like to set up the actual size. I want the full size of the photo, and I want it to zoom in to where my selected autofocus point was. If you magnify from the center, whenever you push zoom, it's just gonna go to the center of the photo, and I hate that because you always end up in some funny body part, okay? So I just don't think that's cool. 2x doesn't give you enough magnification to see if you were really in focus. 4x is better, but it's still from the center, which I think sucks. 8 is much better. 10 from the center, great because 10 is much better. You're doing a much bigger zoom. The best one is actual size, and it has to be from the selected autofocus point. Let me give you an example. So right now, if I push play, okay, and there he is right there. If I push the magnifying glass, it's going to go straight to the point, okay? So you can see that I have selected to display my autofocus point. So it's telling me it focused on that eye. And when I push the little loop, it takes me right to that eye into the center, and I can check focus and be like, it's perfect, and I can move forward. So that's great. All right, let's see. So that's what I use. Image jump with this little wheel here, with the shutter wheel. I think 10 is perfect. I will leave it at that. I don't switch those two, and I don't really deal with any of these ones that much. The memory quality is high quality, low quality audio. If you're shooting like red carpet, and you take a photo of someone, you can say, okay, this is Tom Cruise, and you can just basically record an audio file. You can say this photo is the CEO of this person, and then when you open this up in Digital Photo Professional, the photo will have an audio attached, so you know who that person is. So it's basically like taking notes on every single photo that you took, and it's asking you, do you want it to be a 48 kilohertz sound recording or a lower kilohertz, something a lot lower, like 8, which is going to be very low. Playback information display. Here I want to say that you have these highlight alerts and all these other options. I hate highlight alerts. I think it's very distracting. When it's on, it basically creates. Look at this. It just creates this like blinking black and white, and I can't see my image like this. So I think that's terrible. So I click out of that and I go to disable it. Autofocus display point, I always enable that. Usually this comes disabled, but I always have it enabled. I think it's a bad idea to have that disabled. I think it's a lot better so you can see exactly where the camera focused. Okay. Let's see. See, you can see that I nailed the focus on that. Okay, and I think that's a lot better. Here, my wife, I nailed the focus on her eyes, so I think that's good. So that's why I like to have that. I don't do the playback grid. This is just gonna put like the tic-tac-toe thing, so you can see the rule of thirds and whatnot. I don't need that at all. And movie playback count, I don't care. HDMI output. HDMI HDR output is if you have a photo that's HDR, like you can actually see it in HDR if you have a TV that can accept that. You can turn that to on, and then it will be able to, when you send that image via HDMI to the TV, it will be in HDMI. So that's nice. Okay, I think that was the end of the blue. The play menu, the playback menu, and I think you can see that it's incredibly useful, very useful. You can do a lot of powerful things. You can really give photographs to people that look very well done, very edited. You can even straighten photos. You can add lighting to the portrait. You can change the direction of the light. So if you lit them here, you can actually switch the lighting to be on this side, from this side. You can do quite a bit of things. You can feel if people have like a jaw, the double chin or something, you can actually reduce the light from that, so you can make it less prominent. You can do a lot of different things with display menu. So I hope that was helpful. Now we're gonna move on to the next menu item.